Welcome back to Lovin Dubai show, and today we are joined by someone who will be talking on the topic of mental health. And of course, we know it's a topic that's often overlooked and not even acknowledged, and which is why our guest today has made it a point to create a safe space and a public forum for men to express themselves. And on his podcast, Mentality, you can hear all about it. So welcome to the show,
Thank you.
Manny Djornor.
That's it. Got there in the end. Thank you.
Did you?
Yeah, just about.
Manny Djornor?
Djornor.
Manny
Djornor. Silent D. But for the purposes of most people that can't pronounce it, Djornor. Djornor. Yeah.
Djornor.
Almost there.
Well, thank you
I'll
so
teach you
much
afterwards.
for being here. Honestly, it's such an honor. Me and Simran love this topic.
Yes.
It's a topic that we want discussed, and it's not just discussed enough. We were saying this prior to the show starting. But can you tell us a bit more about yourself and how you got to what you're doing today?
Excellent. Firstly, let me say thank you for having me. This is a topic that I hold very close to me, just simply because it relates to something that I've been through myself. So to answer your question a little bit more specifically, my background is in business and sports. So I started very young as a sports person. I played professional football, soccer for the Americans, in the UK. Mm-hmm. I then transitioned into business when I realized that football might not necessarily be my endpoint. So I transferred into business, but the mindset, the work ethic stayed with me. And so when I left the UK after university and moved to New York as a broker, my mindset was, okay, success at whatever the cost. Now, whatever the cost back then was 18, 19 hours a day. I used to sleep in my office under the table. I knew all the cleaners, I knew everyone, and it broke me down, but I kept going. And I carried that through all the way until I got to Dubai. When I got to Dubai, I came here because of a role that I was in at the time. So I was the youngest VP of a global business with a portfolio of about $100 million.
Oh my God.
I was 27. I was, my peers were like 50 and 55 and so on and so forth. So I was learning very quickly. Mm-hmm. Now, a succession of events happened after I'd been here for about 2 years. That meant that I lost everything. And it left me without anything for almost a year. That ultimately culminated, in me getting into a very dark place, let's say that, into a place where I felt like I had no one. I felt like I had nowhere to turn, and I just felt like I didn't want to be here anymore. Luckily, I made it through. And at that point, I made the promise to myself that I and nobody else that I ever encounter will ever go through what I've been through. And so began Mentality. The ideas were there. I started jotting them down, and then I met my co-founder, Corey. And through conversations, funnily enough, when he and I first got together, we didn't discuss mentality, but he's younger than me. He's about 10 years younger than me. And we'd just get together and we'd just talk. And we'll always end up in these really in-depth conversations about how we deal with things. And eventually we're like, let's start a podcast. Started ideating the podcast. COVID happens. Nothing happens. Came out the other side of COVID. And we're like, we really need to get this out there. And so we organized our first event called Men Don't Cry last March. And that began the journey that we've been on. And since then, we're getting more and more traction. More and more people are starting to talk about it. More and more people are starting to confide in us and tell us, this is the first time we've had somewhere where we can go. And so because of that, we're trying to amplify and ramp up and reach out to more companies, more brands, the government, anyone who's out there who we can talk about this subject with, because we realize there isn't a place for it.
So before the show, you said something so important. You're like, basically you said men are conditioned from a very young age as to like how they are now and how they deal with their emotions
Correct.
now. So I just want to know, what do you think conditions men to, just bottle down their emotions, number one, and number two, how can they be conditioned differently from a young age?
Great question. So in terms of conditioning, there are so many different nuances, so many different contributing factors to why the conditions happen. Sometimes it's cultural. Sometimes it depends on what your parents are going through. It depends on financial conditions. So many different things contribute. And so in terms of why it happens naturally as men we're taught to man up anyway. It's a survival mechanism. It's survival of the fittest at the end of the day. So if you cannot take care of yourself, you get out into the open world, you're going to work your way down the ladder. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, once you're out there in the big wide world, women expect you to be able to survive for yourself and for them as well. And then should you be fortunate enough to have a family, then you've got even more dependence. So you have to be very strong. And so the way that our parents inherently train us up is by telling us, don't worry about the pain you feel, just go out there and do it. Well, if I don't worry about the pain I feel, then how do I recognize where I'm broken? Right? So that's where the change needs to happen. We need to start getting to a place where we start understanding that vulnerability is not a weakness. Vulnerability is actually a strength, because on the back of vulnerability, I can understand where I'm feeling these weaknesses and start working on them. Whether that be, okay, I speak to someone, or whether I connect with people, or whether I create a tribe or get involved in a tribe or find a hobby or sport or whatever the case may be, it's understanding that. And how can children, I guess is the question, right? How can children be encouraged to understand themselves more? Exactly that. Is parents finding the opportunity or creating a space and a platform where their children can come and be open to them, and then advise them on the back of that. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are busy. In most parts of the world, a lot of parents are busy, so they're either working and so on and so forth. In this part of the world, they're busy for different reasons. They're trying to live their life. I mean, they've given birth and they're out on the weekends or doing things that they want to do. But if you don't raise the next generation, then we're going to have a perpetuating cycle of brokenness, and that's what we need to stem and stop right now.
So you were saying earlier about the statement "man up."
Yeah.
Can you talk more about the negative connotation that comes with that and the impact that has?
Because it's not just parents that say man up. It's friends, your colleagues, your partners. You hear this from literally your entire environment. Man up. Even if like you complain about the smallest of all things, like stop complaining. Like man up.
So at Mentality, we're on a journey to try and remove the negative connotation of manning up. So man up for me is not necessarily negative. It just means be a man. And be a man is about understanding what it takes to be a man, right? So one of the first things that we started doing is we started asking people, what does it mean to be a man for you? And it's so funny how you hear so many different depictions, but it all kind of circles back to the same thing. Most people are like, oh, I saw my father do this, or I didn't have a father to show me this, or a role model. Be a man. We don't have enough positive role models out there. And so again, for us, one of the future visions of where we want to go with it is creating places or foundations or call it facilities where we can teach men how to be men. So fathers to be fathers and boys to look up to positive role models, constant influencing of that. But man up and be a man needs to be changed from being a negative into being positioned more as a positive phrase. And I think that's where it starts also.
How would you define masculinity?
Masculinity is, for me, let me say that, because I think it's dangerous to put it out there as a one-word statement. But masculinity for me is being able to tap into who you are as a man and understand the role that you play in the community. So somehow being a protector, right? And being a protector doesn't mean you have to be big and strong, but just knowing how to take care of the people around you and the environment around you. So it includes, socially, includes at work, it includes your kids, it includes the actual environments, the physical environment. How do you take care of what you've been blessed with, right? The areas that we live in, how do you ensure that we don't destroy them? Because ultimately what we need to do as men, enhance and holding on to our masculinity, is create environments where the generations after us can also enjoy and build upon, not destroying what we have now so that the generations after us have nothing. So for me, that's masculinity. It's embracing who you are inherently as a protector, a provider, and somebody who's been designed to build. I think that's why physically we are, I don't want anyone to kind of crucify me on comments here, but I think physically we're designed to build with our minds, with our hands, with the things we put out there. Even the things we say can build or destroy. And I think a lot of people forget that there is power in the words that we speak. So just understanding where you sit and putting these things up.
As much as I agree with you, I completely agree with you there. Yeah. It's just that doesn't it get so pressurizing for men to know, okay, I'm realizing this. I do realize I'm a protector. I'm a provider, but oh my God, the pressure. Right?
Yes.
And how do you deal with it?
Yeah. So again, these things, there is pressure, but you have to think the burden of performance is already on us in a negative way, right? So start off like we said, as a boy, you're not allowed to cry. So the burden of performance is already on you. Like I have to not show that I'm hurting. I have to show that I'm strong. That's one. That's a negative burden that you have to carry. Again, vulnerability is not being used as a strength, it's being used as a weakness. And then you get to a position of, okay, I have to provide. Being able to provide is possible if only you understand the dynamics that you're playing in, right? So within my family, with my wife and my kids, I have to be able to provide. But it's also understanding and being able to communicate with my wife as to, okay, well, in provision, these are my limitations. Where can we come together as a unit and build, right? Most women are prepared to, and in fact, most women are forthcoming with wanting to help their men, whether it be a friend or a partner or whatever. They want to help. We don't know how to open up and allow them to. So it's about understanding that. So the pressures and the burdens doesn't have to come in. It's about understanding how you play within the environment to let it happen. So it shouldn't be pressures. It shouldn't be.
So what about those who don't have a partner or any support system, yet they are brought up their whole lives? Or they know we need to provide and protect, but they don't have the support?
So we create places where these people can connect with us, right? So as part of Mentality, we have 4 main pillars that we speak about. We have media, which is our podcast. We do bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, Instagram lives about all topics. We cover everything from relationships to fatherhood to starting a company or job, absolutely everything. And then, so that's pillar number 1, media. Then we have community. So we try and get together often. We sometimes partner with other businesses and other forums where we get together. We do things like men's circles. We do things like golf days. We just basically create a community where people can come together and connect with each other, check in with each other, and understand that, okay, actually there are lots of people that are like me and that we're not alone. So community is number 2. We have services, which is something that we're building on and working at the moment, which is we're creating a database, which eventually we're hoping to put into an app where you can come and find everything as one-stop wellness. Like literally, if you need a neuroscientist, if you need a psychologist, a coach, a doctor, PT, whatever, it's there. And you can come and find it. So when I say media, events, community and services. Yeah, so 4 pillars.
That's amazing. And also with the podcast, it's not just men speaking. You have both men and women, right?
Correct.
Can you just explain the rationale behind that and why you thought that was important?
Correct. So listen, it's the underlying foundation of what we do is for men. Because as I said, there are limited spaces for us as men to go and really kind of offload. However, we also understand that by extension, the biggest touch point that we all have in one way or the other is females. So we cannot help men if we don't also understand what women see and how women feel and the impact that we as men have on women. And so there needs to be a voice for women. What we try and do with Mentality is we try and balance that, right? Because women are very strong at being able to put themselves forward. So sometimes their voice can be overpowering. So again, at its core, it's for men, but we also want to hear by extension the impact that we have on women.
Yeah.
And then
it's seeing both sides.
Correct.
And the impact that you have on each other.
Correct. Because at the end of the day, if I can work on you as a man, but then you don't know how to interact with the women in your life, whether it be your sister, your mom, your wife, your girlfriend, your work colleague, you're still going to be broken. Right? It's by extension. So you remember what I said at the beginning, that we are creating spaces where men can come and be better pillars of society all around. So by extension, women, children, friends, colleagues, environment, etc. Everything.
So we know for a fact that men feel so strongly. As much as we you see that, okay, oh, he doesn't express his feelings, he doesn't feel anything. You guys actually feel a lot.
Yes.
And it comes out sometimes to the worst avenues, right? Like they get into fights or they get into quarrels outside and just materializes in the wrong ways.
Correct.
But you did brush up on this as to like how to, deal with it. But like when you have such strong feelings, apart from opening up and talking about it, what other ways can men deal with them?
There are so many different outlets. And the reason why it comes out the way it comes out is because we don't have an outlet. So you've often heard the phrase, the cup runs over, right? When the cup runs over, you have no way but just to let it out in the way you like, which is why people end up in fights and negative things. There are so many different outlets in the way. I know men who have found painting. I know men who have found certain sports. I know men who have found things like God, like things that you would never genuinely associate with men, but they find it because it gives them peace. In life, we often teach equilibrium or with mentality. So it's about finding that other thing that balances you out. You don't have to go, and even if, let's assume you like the violence, there are controlled spaces, right? So you can go and learn a martial arts, kickboxing, MMA, where it's controlled and you're finding an outlet, but your end result is not to hurt someone. It's about just finding something that you enjoy doing. Funny enough, MMA, getting punched in the face and enjoying it is one thing, but there are controlled environments where you can do these things.
Can you just list out some of the ways men can practice like positive well-being?
Absolutely. It starts with being able to do it yourself. So learning how to ground yourself. Like, go out, take your shoes off, stand outside, let your feet touch the earth, actually feel what it's like to be connected. Things like meditation. Some might think that meditation is just like getting into like certain yogic positions and so on and so forth. It's not that. Anything that you do that allows you to be able to be inwardly introspective and just kind of, see where you're going. Like, go and sit at the beach, go surfing, go kick a ball. For me personally, as somebody who is a sports person and has a history in football, that is my meditation. Everyone that knows me, from my wife to my mum, everyone knows me that if I'm stressed, just give me a ball and just put me out there.
Let them go all the time.
Give him a ball.
Correct. Yeah. So anything that you do that makes you be able to kind of offload the stresses and be introspective is meditation within itself. So do that. Learn how to speak to people without necessarily thinking that they're going to kind of use your vulnerability against you. And if you do feel like that, come to places like Mentality, find us, reach out to us, reach out to any one of the members of Mentality. We have coaches here who will speak to you, therapists within our network who can speak to you. We have PTs within our network who can help you in a different environment where you're kind of like being more physically active, as well as being able to talk to you. We have loads of these kind of areas and platforms, and again, that's what Mentality is about. Is by saying like, look, come and have conversations that are often taboo, but in environments that no one's judging you or thinking negatively of you.
Not everyone's lucky, to have a man in their name like you, Manny. But like, what exactly makes a man a man? Like, just list out a couple of things to you. What makes a man?
Understanding that you have a big role to play in society is one of the manly mantras that we need to kind of champion. Understanding that you should be there to build, understanding that you should be there to, again, protect, however that may be, speak up. Understanding that you should be there to be a partner and not an oppressor. Because at the end of the day, the relationships we have is all about partnerships, whether that be with your child or your wife, as I said before, girlfriend or friends or sisters. It's partnership. So coming together in order to build holistically a much better world. To be a man is such a dangerous question to answer because there are so many different nuanced experiences that everyone has. But holistically, these are the main things that I would say.
What would you say are some, not necessarily vices, but influences that could impact or deteriorate one, or specifically a man's mental health?
I think we all know what one of the main ones is, being that social media, right? We have such and it shouldn't be, because within itself, it can teach you so many things. But as a man, you need to learn how to curate what it is that you see. And I think that needs to be taught. So many of us get onto social media and it's just noise, and we just download and just look at all the things. And then you have the negative connotations of that, of comparisons. Okay, that person looks like that, and that person's doing this, and that person's making that much money. I need to do it. And then the pressure starts. Whereas if you curate the right experiences that are relevant to you, to the life you live, to the moment you're in, it will be a much more fruitful and fulfilling exercise. But again, like I said, that is something that I believe needs to be taught, right? So I'm against taking away social media from kids. What I prefer is that we teach our children what is right, what is wrong, and allow them to have the tools with which to be able to determine, okay, I shouldn't be looking at that, and that's not going to feed me or serve me. So let me move from it.
So I'm going to feed you or serve you. Now, luckily, we have you on a time that is just amazing. We're going into a 6-day break, and Eid holidays, people are like, those not traveling will be at home, chilling. So what are some things that you suggest they should practice if they're watching this show and they're listening to your podcast to just start on this journey of well-being?
Yeah. Take a moment every day just to stop, just still everything that's going around. There's so much noise that we have around us every day that it's very hard to understand what's going on deep down within. So take a moment, whether that be 2 minutes or whether that be an hour, and just sit and just turn off the phone, turn off the TV, turn off the YouTubes and so on and so forth. Just listen to everything around you. Appreciate what's going on, right? And listen to what's going on within you. And that's number one. Number two, find some time, whether that be 10 minutes or whether that be an hour again, to do something physical. Go for a walk. You don't need to go to the gym and lift heavy weights. Go for a walk. Even better if you can go for a walk where there's a bit of nature. I know it's hard in Dubai, but if you can find a bit of greenery and just go for a walk, smell the plants and hear the birds, and just, again, be at one with yourself. And thirdly, and probably the most important thing, is learn to practice gratitude, gratefulness. Right?
How do you do that?
So I have this thing that I do every day where my wife and I, at the end of the day, just before bed, we'll be like, well, what are your 3 gratefuls? So we have to find 3 things every day that we're grateful about. And that exercise, ever since we started doing that, totally switched. You could have the worst day and then understand that, okay, cool, I'm grateful for this. And sometimes the gratitude comes in the negativity. So sometimes I'm like, that happened at work. It was horrible. But you know what? I'm grateful I have a job.
Yeah.
Or that happened with that person. But you know what? I'm grateful that they were there because they've taught me how to, do something different. So yeah, learn to be grateful.
Yeah, tonight you're gonna have it easy. You already have 2, being Shahir and Simran.
Of course. So. No, listen, I appreciate. You don't understand. You don't understand how much I appreciate opportunities like this. The whole thing of what I wanted to do, and also Corey, my co-founder, what we wanted to do when we started Mentality was to be able to impact people. For us, it's not about building anything crazy, but it's about impact people. So the more people can have exposure to understanding that it's okay not to be okay, and that there is always positivity at the other side, is huge for me. So having platforms like Lovin Dubai and opportunities like this to come and talk about what it is that we do and what we can do, huge for me. So yeah, grateful thing for me.
Thank you so much. And before we wrap up, the last and the best show of the month, can you just tell our audience where they can find you on social media?
Absolutely. So across social media, it's men_tality podcast across social media. So on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, where it's the biggest part of what we do. You can find us on that. Reach out to us. Our contact details are on there. We are very, very responsive. Very responsive. So once you reach out, someone will get back to you. And then, connect with us. Come be at our events. Come see us. Come and have a coffee with us. Hey, we're humans at it. Please do.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we will.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come disguised as a man. Does that work?
No, come as yourself.
You can wear a mustache.
Come as yourself.
Mustache.
Right answer.
Top hat.
Wow. I don't want to get involved with that one. No, but come as yourself. As I said to you, we are a platform focused initially for men, but by extension, we do interact and speak to women also.
Thank
so
you.
It would be
Thanks for
awesome for us to
interacting
have
with
you.
us and our kind.
We've got no choice.
Well
Okay, then.
said.
On
And on
that
that
note-
note, genuinely, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here.
Thank
We're super grateful, and thanks for just sharing everything you've been through and everything that you've done to just know that, have men know that there's someone out there that you can speak to, things you can do, and tools you can use.
Yes.
So we really do appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
You guys have a guardian angel waiting for you to reach out if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about or open up about
Men_tality podcast. Then you'll find us.
Tongue twister, huh? Thank you so much for watching, guys. That's it from me. We'll be back with you next Monday. Eid Mubarak, everyone.
Great Eid, you guys.